Okay, so we're going to begin seated in whatever position you have found to be ideal for you. Again, if you want to be on the floor, if you're in a chair, if you're in bed, but finding a way that you can prop your pelvis up in such a way that you're not straining to hold yourself upright and that you have some freedom to move the upper body. So come into that position now and just take a moment to notice how you feel. Don't we always do that? How do you feel right now? What are you noticing in your spine or just in your energy level in general? You feeling tension, you feeling aches and pains, feeling restriction, maybe it feels great, whatever it is, but just taking note of where you're feeling anything that comes to your attention, but particularly around the spine. And we're talking about from, the base of the skull or even into the skull. This is a structure that's in relationship with the spine. So maybe a little headachy, whatever it is, or brain fog, especially if we've just woken up. And then, feeling down into the neck and the upper back between the shoulder blades, mid-back, rib cage, low back, and then even down into your sacrum and tailbone and into your pelvis where you're making contact with whatever it is you're sitting on. This is all part of the craniosacral spinal structure. Just noticing what you feel. It's interesting too because there's parts of the spine that we don't regularly move, particularly around the mid-back and up and into the shoulder blades, that we tend to not have any awareness or sensation of that area because it's kind of offline proprioceptively. I'm just doing a little movement to feel like where some of the sticky spots might be. All right, just taking a minute to, again, adjust your posture so you feel like you're not straining to hold your body upright. If you need more height under your sit bones, then please pause the video and adjust that. It'll be much more enjoyable for you if you're not straining yourself throughout this routine. All right, some nice breaths in and out. So thinking about the spine, thinking about the muscles along the spine, even into the rib cage. And we're going to begin with movement at the base. So if you are free to move, and if you have one of these, this is definitely handy for this part of the movement, but if not, that's okay too. We're just going to start with freeing up the pelvis and the lumbar. So essentially we're just sort of tucking, kind of collapsing in here, maybe a little bit of an abdominal crunch slightly, and then rolling, slight rounding of the pelvis forward. So I'm tucking under, pushing my tailbone down into the cushion and then pulling it back up. Now, if this is not a move you're used to, which I think for many we're not, you may find it harder to separate the movement of your pelvis from the rest of your spine and the rest of your body. So it might look more like this, which is fine. If you can, just really think about trying to isolate just the low back, opening up here. And there's usually a lot of tension in this spot that's hard to really tuck that tailbone under. And then pull it up off the cushion. But if you can, just play with that movement. I think we have a lot of hang-ups about doing that kind of movement as well, both women and men. But culturally, it's not something that we openly invite in public. So it's good, but it's a really necessary movement to have, especially because we have so many lumbar issues in our culture. We don't have enough activation in there muscularly, energetically. So we can do this with the breath, breathing in and breathing out, relaxing. It's a nice little mini crunch workout too. Get your core exercises in, right? All right, let's do one more breath. And then coming back to your neutral aligned posture. All right, so we're going to go side to side now. We're focusing on the area between the rib cage and the top of the pelvis here, the hip bones into the waist here. So if you are sitting in a chair, this might be a little bit easier to just let one arm drop to your side. If you're on the floor, if you're in bed, you can place your palm on the floor for when you go down. So basically, we're just going to release one side of the waist and allow the rib cage to tilt. Now, I'm doing this again. This is a movement of the rib cage relative to the pelvis. So I'm not bringing my cheek up off the cushion. I'm keeping that planted, and I'm just opening up the sides of the torso here. My shoulders are loose. My arm is soft, but it's here on the floor. And again, if you're in a chair, you can just let the arm hang straight down. And then again, activating this part, pulling the rib cage back up, and then coming down on the other side, letting it open, letting out the muscle tension, lowering the rib cage towards the floor, bringing it back up. We're going to do this a couple times. Inhale and exhale. So another cue I will give you, because we also tend to have what we call a rib thrust. So if you are sitting in such a way where your shoulders are pulled back and your ribs are thrust out, I want to encourage you just to drop, let yourself slump, not entirely forward, but partially, where your ribs are kind of sinking into your upper abdomen. This is going to give you a lot more freedom in your mid-back. And you can try the difference. Try to do it with the ribs thrust out and then drop the ribs and do it. And you can see how much further you can come down. And if you're feeling so inclined, you can bring an arm up, create a little extra weight on the top of the body to create more stretch in the sides. All right, and then we'll come up. Now continuing with movement with the rib cage relative to the pelvis. So the pelvis again is planted on the seating surface. And again, tucking the rib cage under. Shoulders are relaxed here, and you can place your hands on your knees if you like, or one in front, one in back. But basically what we're going to do is turn the rib cage relative to the pelvis. So we're just moving with the abdominal muscles, the obliques, etc., and turning the rib cage to one side, and then back to center, and then turning it to the other side. Again, for many at first, this can be a little bit challenging, because it's not a movement that we do that often anymore. Thanks to swivel chairs and such, we tend to move everything together. Pelvis and rib cage go everywhere together, so we're trying to really separate the activity of those two, and you're going to probably feel this through your mid-back. But this is such an essential move for a number of reasons, not the least of which for releasing tension in the abdomen and nourishing the organs. So if you have your hands on your yourself, your person, resist the temptation to torque with the hands and push your rib cage to the side. That's one way to do that. But we're really trying to engage your abdominal muscles for this movement. And again, you can utilize the breath here, breathing into the center and breathing out to the side. Into center, out to the side. Do one more time, side to side. Bring the arms around. Then making sure you're not pulling or pushing your rib cage to one side. And come back to center. Realigning pelvis, rib cage, now your head. We're going to turn the head side to side, in a similar way, but I want to make sure that your head forward position has been adjusted to be more neutral. So in other words, if your head's out here, it's going to be creating extra curvature in the neck, which we don't want when we're turning the head side to side, because that's going to be uncomfortable for one and create a shearing force, which is not good for the vertebrae. So toggling the head back very gently, because if you have a lot of neck tension, it's very easy to overdo, and we don't want to create more issues from doing this. But in as much as it is comfortable, you're going to bring the back of your head up and back towards the wall behind you. So we're coming from here to here, and tucking the chin under slightly. So we're opening up the back of the neck, almost creating a little bit of a double chin. Don't worry, I can't see you, so, no judgment here. So bringing the head back just to reposition it more centrally over your upper body, so that when we turn the head and neck, we're not, twisting and torquing the vertebrae. So again, shoulders are relaxed, breathing in to center, exhale, turning to one side. And we're not going for like full-on stretch here. Again, if you have neck tension or any kind of vertebral issues, we don't want to exacerbate that. We're just simply getting mobility in there and some freedom of movement and just waking up the cervical spine. So think more opening rather than stretching. And if you can only go part of the way, that's fine. Meet your boundaries where they are. We'll do a couple more side to side. And we're going to bring the head back to center with the inhale, and then on the next exhale, we're going to lower one ear to the shoulder. And bring it back up, and then the other side. You do this a couple times on each side. Feeling that opening in the side of the neck from the ear down to the top of the shoulder. Everything's gentle. Okay, now keeping that chin tucked under, ramping the head back, and we're going to bring the forehead down towards the floor. So the head essentially isn't just dropping forward like this. We're keeping the upper body upright, and the head is basically just kind of swiveling down that way. So you're thinking of the head bending relative, it's hard to do, relative to the cervical vertebrae rather than all of it coming down together. So we're opening up the space between the back of the skull and the upper cervical vertebrae. Bring the head back up. Okay, for the next couple, we're going to bring the legs out in front of us. And if you're in a chair, you might want a footstool here, prop up some pillows so that you're not falling out of the chair as we go forward. You still want to be able to stay somewhat relaxed in your back. You can come down onto the floor if this makes it easier, and if you're in bed, obviously not a problem. All right, so again, sitting nice and tall. We've just adjusted a little bit of the base here, so bringing your legs out and also making sure that your pelvis isn't rolling back. So we're still sitting nice with our sit bones on our seating apparatus. So we're going to do a multi-part move here, and this is going to help open up tension along the spine and into the backs of the legs and into the feet. We're going to do it with a breath, each segment. So with the inhale, and I have my fingers interlocked here, we're going to come up to the heart, inhale, and exhale, we're going to push up. And as I'm pushing up toward the ceiling, I'm pushing my sit bones down into the cushion. And then with the next inhale, I'm going to bring my hands onto the top of my head. And as I'm breathing in, I'm also pushing up from my sit bones, pushing my head into my hands. So you feel that isometric stretch down in through the spine. And then as I release, I'm going to exhale, hinge at the hips, come forward, reach as far toward the toes as possible. And then on the next inhale, I'm going to roll up and repeat. Exhale, inhale, and exhale. Roll up, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Let's do 2 more. Roll up, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out. Last one, roll up, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out. And exhale, and just really release all the way down into your legs. Lift the tailbone up slightly to get an extra stretch in through the hamstrings. And we're going to go right into the next move here. So as we inhale, on your next inhale, we're going to roll up. And now we're mimicking rowing a boat. So everything's shoulder movement. Hands come up to about armpit level and then rolling forward again, rolling up. Nice graceful move. Stretch out through the hips. Roll down, roll up through the spine. If you have room to come back a little bit, this will give you a little bit of abdominal activity here as well. Nice and slow with the breathing. Let everything open and release. Breathe in and breathe out. Bring your shoulders way back if you like. Get some rounding, rotation through the shoulder blade and through the shoulders. We'll do one more as we come up. And stretch out. And then as we inhale, come up. We're going to reverse directions. Now we're going to push down, scoop out, reach for the toes, pull back. Breathing in and breathing out as we push forward. Let's do one more. Breathe in and breathe out. And come back to center, breathing in, release the hands, and then come back into your comfortable seated position. One last thing that we will do as an exercise. So we're going to massage the kidneys. And again, the kidneys are closer to the back of the body, and they're near where the lumbar and the thoracic vertebrae intersect, just kind of halfway under and halfway not under the bottom ribs in the back. Okay. So we're going to start with warming up the hands. Take a nice breath in. Hold the breath, and then place the hands over that kidney area, and you can either just hold there or you can massage in circles as you exhale, bringing that warmth and heat and chi from your hands into your kidneys. We're going to do this a couple times. Breathing in, hold the breath, and breathing out. Breathing in, hold the breath, and breathe out. In Chinese medicine, kidneys store our core energy, our life force, our jing. And again, along with back tension and everything else that we do with our backs, this area can get very stagnated and congested, right? So this is a nice way to, as we're doing the back moves, it's helping the spine, but it's also massaging the kidneys, which is always a good thing. Okay, so we're going to conclude here, just again returning to our original position, finding that comfortable alignment, that ease in alignment. Finding the breath, again checking in with how you feel. How does your spine feel? How do your hips feel, your head, your energy overall? And we're going to take 3 nice breaths, and I want your breath to emanate from the base of your spine here. Again, bringing the quality of water, which is the energy we're working with, and we're going to draw that water up with the breath, up the spine, into the base of the skull, and then with the exhale, letting it flow back down, and just feeling that, that flow through the spine, through the bones, through the meninges, through the spinal fluid. So when you're ready, at your own pace, just take that nice slow breath in, drawing it up from your tailbone, sacrum, lumbar, rib cage, your neck, and the base of your skull, and then exhale, just letting it flow back down. Not so much like a waterfall, but maybe water flowing down a rock face. Bringing it back up with the breath. And allowing it to drop back down. And if you want to take a moment to just free form, move the spine a little, notice how it feels. Does it feel free? Does it feel open? Does it still feel tight in places? It's all good. All right, well, thank you for joining me with this little routine. Hopefully it wasn't too long, and you can always just do parts and pieces of it. I encourage you to try it in the morning before you start your day, before you obviously you can do this before you even get out of bed, but wherever you do it, take a moment to do that if you're feeling kind of low and squishy and stagnant and just not really wanting to go forward with things, or just feeling really locked up emotionally. Just give it a try. Just move your spine. You might be surprised. All right, thank you, and I will see you next week.